Joining us as well, Bob Weiner, Democratic strategist, somebody that nobody defends getting beaten. Anyway, the Democratic strategist, columnist, and former communications director for Clinton drug czar General Barry McCaffrey. He's also former chief of staff of the House Committee on Aging and also former communications director for both Congressman Rangel and Congressman Conyers of New York and Michigan, respectively. 5 years each. I forgot to mention, Bob is now coming up to his 113th birthday, and we're all really rooting for him for the next. This guy's birthday cakes are beginning to they're starting to violate the martial laws of most communities, but that's another show. Bob, good to have you back as well.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me, Alan.
Do we really have to wait for Messrs. Santorum and Gingrich to figure out that they're essentially mathematically out of the loop or out of the realm of reasonable possibility when it comes to looking at the likely nominee of the GOP party? Do we have to wait for them to figure it out, or do you see the universe pretty much going on its merry way, whether or not these guys figure it out for themselves?
Well, Charlie Cook, who everybody respects from both parties, has said the fat lady has sung. If the Tiffany's candidate of the child janitor can't see the handwriting on the wall, as smart as he is, it's really sad. But I think that Santorum also needs to see the handwriting on the wall as far as from the Republican side. If I were on the Republican side, we'd be having a big powwow with those two guys to say, clear the field.
I'm thinking, you know what? Two things spell defeat for Santorum. And there would be serious examples of embarrassment. One, if he stays in and he loses. Two, if he stays in, but he only just wins. Bob Weiner.
Well, I totally agree with you. I think the trending, by the way, is against Santorum. I've seen polls that show him behind in Pennsylvania. If I were him, I'd get out with a big news conference saying I won about 13 states. This has been a magnificent run. Now we have to, if I were him, I mean, I'm obviously the other side, but we have to defeat Barack Obama. And make his points, give some grand speech, and be done with it before he loses home state for the second time. That's what I would do if I were Santorum. Now, as far as Gingrich is concerned, Alan, let's make a little news here. Gingrich won South Carolina and was in line to win Florida and then lost because what he did in South Carolina, the brilliant debates and forceful and bold, he was like a marshmallow in Florida and lost the two debates, the very thing that was powerful for him. If he had done well in the Florida debates, this might be an entirely different race because he was trending up and he was gaining ground despite Romney's dominance in the money. I, for the life of me, do not understand how Gingrich blew those debates in Florida.
Isn't our desire to protect voter integrity at least worth as much as buying a beer?
Well, here's your problem, Alan. And I sat behind, invited by Congressman Conyers, the Democratic leader of the Judiciary Committee, when he and Steny Hoyer had a forum on exactly this subject and brought in people from the NAACP to the Heritage Foundation. They had all sides. No one could say that there was any substantial amount of this other than stings like you just described. There was a sting in Philadelphia, and there was a sting that you just described. Aside from those stings, the percentage of real voter fraud is 0.00001. And so what you have is minorities, seniors, and kids, and Amy makes the point about seniors, who have every right to vote, and we should want a high voter turnout. We have the lowest voter turnout of any civilized country already. So to make it more difficult, but by the way, they don't make it difficult for Republicans, they make it difficult for Democratic constituencies. Minorities, seniors, and kids are the ones most inclined to not have the IDs because they're not rich, they're not as college educated.
Then a number of times that this has been the crime has been committed, you should have no problem.
Give me the count, not on voter registration fraud. People fail to make that difference. But on voter fraud of turnout, the right to vote is sacrosanct, and therefore it should not be denied for false. You're putting a hypothetical instead of a real situation. It doesn't happen. All the statistics nationwide, which were in front of that forum, as I said, from the NAACP to the Heritage Foundation, who couldn't even come up with any real cases.